Hello, hello! It's Nathan and Journey. We're here at Concrete Plant Park. Welcome, Boogie on the Boulevard.
Welcome, guys.
So today's tour is going to be focused on COVID-oriented plants, things that are good for your respiratory system. We're going to introduce you to some natives that are wild, some things that you might not be familiar with, as well as some species that are cultivated and we're growing here specifically. So without further ado, come along for a tour.
Let's do it. Hey everybody, so one of our first plants that we're going to be looking at is right here. It's called yarrow. Yarrow, it's a really good plant for bleeding, wounds. It is used as a poultice sometimes. You know, if you got a nice little cut, you can put some yarrow on it. It will stop the bleeding. If you have a nosebleed, you can bunch up some yarrow and put it in your nose and it will stop the bleeding. So whether the bleeding is internal or on the wound, on the external, it's really good for that. It's also good at lowering fever, right? So if you have a fever, you can definitely use yarrow to lower down your fever. It's a very, very good plant to have. All you have to do is just cut some up, dry it up, and you can either, when you dry it up, use some for tea, and then make sure to have like some dried up leaves that you can use on the wound. You know, it has antiseptic properties, so it's a really good wound healer and it's something really good to have on hand.
Great Journey. And we are standing where you can find some of the yarrows at the very beginning of the Foodway near Westchester Avenue. You'll find the beginning of the orchard. These are pear trees that are here next to the purple verbena or vervain. So we are right here and there's some yarrow. You'll find yarrow throughout the Foodway though.
Absolutely.
And we're located right next to the 6 train, so you may hear some 6 train, the roaring 6 train run behind us. So this is the Whitlock Avenue stop. And what you'll see right here is a sign saying, "Welcome to your Foodway." And below it is a great little QR code which populates a field guide as well as the plant list for the Foodway, so you can understand what is growing in this space and how to use the plants.
All right, so, are we up?
Yeah.
Okay, so our next plant right here is mountain mint. So we have a lot of
Lots of pollinators.
pollinators here feeding. So mountain mint is part of the mint family. It is really good with toothache. If you ever had a toothache, chewing a few leaves of the mountain mint helps with the toothache. It helps with gingivitis. It's also good at cooling you off. So if you're the type of person, any mint as a matter of fact is really good at cooling the body temperatures down, especially if you're experiencing a lot of heat. It's great for the digestive system. So if you have bloating issue, any type of digestive system, any mint will actually help you with that. If you have a cold, a cough, it's really good to help decongest. So it's a really good one to use even as a steam. You can make a nice little pot of mountain mint tea and cover your head with a shirt or a towel and then just inhale the steam, so it can kind of help you breathe better if you're having problem breathing because you have a cold.
I love that idea. I never thought about that, of doing like in the shower maybe,
Yeah.
or some way to actually like stimulate that smell.
Just make sure you keep your eyes closed though, because it is mint.
It can be pretty strong. Yeah, so this one in particular, out of all the mints we're gonna see today, is very, very strong.
And a good thing about mountain mint, if you come down to Concrete Plant Park and let's say you forgot to brush your teeth, all you got to do is just grab a leaf, pop it up in your mouth, and you're good to go.
It's true. It's true. Get ready for your hot date. There's the 6 train roaring behind us. And right in front of us, what I'm looking at right now, is our anise hyssop.
Yes, anise hyssop, which is also part of the mint family, and a really good one to have in your at-home apothecary or at-home kitchen medicine, to deal with this winter.
It's a really great one, and a fun fact If you look at the stem of the plant, it's a square stem. It's a little hard to see on camera, but square stems are, let's see if I can get it there. There we go. Square stems are an indicator of the mint family. So if you're ever walking in the woods and you find something with a square stem, you can make the assumption.
Now right here we have a really nice arrangement of what we call lamb's quarter. Okay, so right now it's getting ready to go into seed. So when you see it, you'll normally see it when it is this young.
Yes, that's what the leaf looks like typically.
Yes, typically, right?
Yeah.
Like this.
Mm-hmm.
So this is lamb's quarter. Lamb's quarter, it's like a green. Now the way you notice or recognize it, it has a white silvery powder right there.
Mm-hmm.
That if you were to rub off on it, it will actually come off. All lamb's quarter have that. That's one of their biggest telltale signs outside of the way the leaf look.
Yes.
Right? So that's like a nice little mineral deposit from the plant. So it has a lot of minerals. It has a whole lot of nutrients that are actually better than your kale and your spinach. So lamb's quarter is definitely a higher concentration of really good nutrition than spinach and kale put together. So easy to cook. Cook it like a green. It's not bitter. It's a really nice tasting type of plant. I love to eat it.
And fun fact, it's a hydrophobic plant, so I think part of those mineral deposits allows it to reject water from its skin or from the surface of the leaf, so it'll actually roll right off. And you can find a nice little video of Journey and I cooking up this lamb's quarter on the Bronx River Alliance YouTube page.
It was delicious.
It was so good.
Yes,
that was really
delicious.
fun.
Another thing that you can do too when you come up with plant like lamb's quarter that are not necessarily medicinal but are like for culinary purposes, you can dry it up, right, and just create like a nice green powder that you can put in your smoothies, you can put in your soup. You can do so much things with it. Kind of want to last anything from the summer throughout your winter. That is one way of doing it.
I know. When we were cooking, I prepped some and I froze it.
Oh,
so now
see?
there's some in my freezer and I pop it out when I want a little
See,
greens.
that's perfect.
Makes it
that
so
means you gotta
easy.
get some and freeze it for the winter.
Yes,
so
keep it going.
You can have it. Yep.
Ooh, this one's a great one when we're thinking about COVID and the flu.
Absolutely. What we are looking at is late bone set. And late bone set is a really, really great plant ally to have during this time of COVID, and especially during the cold and flu season that we are walking into. Why? Because late bone set, it will help to break the flu. Have you ever gotten the type of flu where your bones, everything in your body was hurting? I mean, just really, really painful, where you feel like, you at your last breaths, so to speak. Well, bone set is really good for that. It will break that type of fever, that it will settle that pain, that achy pain that you feel.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, really good at that. And you won't even need to drink a whole lot of it to actually help you with that. So right now is the perfect time to harvest it. Again, just drying it up and putting it aside, so when you need it, then you can, use it. But I do have to warn you guys, the taste is not pleasant. So that's why I say when you have that really bad flu body pain, where you're like, I will do anything to make it go away, late bone set.
Late bone set. And so once again, we're near the beginning of the Foodway, near the sign where you can find the beginning of late bone set. And this plant, for all my gardeners who are looking for pollinators, this is one of our best for our monarchs. You'll see them, oh, there goes one. You'll see them just land between the butterfly weed, which is down here, this orange plant, to the late flowering bone set, which is just starting to open into these beautiful, like, little fairy-like flowers. They love this. So this is a really great one. As you can see, this whole section has become late bone set. Unintentional, but we also love that it's feeding our pollinators. So we've allowed it to coexist because we know that we can't have our crops without our pollinators.
And one thing, because we have so much, is also kind of a way of nature saying, hey, it's here, get some, because winter will come and then we won't have a lot of these plants available. So now is really a perfect time to come in and be prepared. Remember, we're going into fall, harvest season, time of preparation for the winter time. So we can't fall short this time around because we already know what we're dealing with, right?
It's true. And yeah, I think a lot of people might be asking, all right, I'm foraging in this park. What is like a sustainable amount to forage? And in this case, there's a lot of late flowering boneset and folks haven't been harvesting it, so there's an abundance. But in general, we use a 1% rule. So you only want to take about 1% of the plant. So 1% of this plant is a very small amount, probably like one of these little stems, and then I would hop over to another plant and grab a little stem, and I'd hop over to another little plant and grab a stem. So keep that in mind as you're foraging.
Absolutely. Now, one thing that you want to do also during this winter while you're cooking, you want to amplify the nutritional value of your food, right? So we know bay leaf, right? When we cook, whether it's rice or whatever it is that you're cooking that's saucy and you put a little bay leaf on it to add a little je ne sais quoi to your meals, well, we have bayberry right here. And this is the bayberry leaf. And the bayberry leaf can be used the same way you use a bay leaf.
And we want a dry leaf typically to cook because the flavors are concentrated. So as you're in the Foodway, you might actually find dry leaves and you can totally harvest those or take some fresh and put them in a paper bag and dry them at home.
And another thing to kind of keep you guys busy on a good note during this winter time or this fall, well, if you're still at home, is the bayberry has berries.
Yeah.
Right? These right here.
Yep.
And these berries, you can actually, it's waxy. You can use it to make some candles.
Yeah.
And it will smell like, it will be a smell you've never smelled before. It smells really, really, really good, and it's long lasting. So if you're one of those people that's a crafter, definitely have your way with the berries and test it out and see what you can come up with, You have to play with nature sometimes.
It's true. Yeah, so those silver berries you can see everywhere, and you might be wondering, oh my gosh, I'm gonna come out and make candles. But you're gonna need a heck of a lot. I remember looking it up. It's like 1 gallon for a small pillar candle. So indigenous folks and who taught the colonizers what this was, they actually would harvest a bunch, but they would cut it with beeswax. So a lot of people will still cut it with beeswax, but this is a great vegan source of wax. So pretty cool that we have this here at the Foodway. You can find these throughout the parks. Before we take this little path over, let's check out this chestnut, the magnificent American chestnut.
Yes.
So this is actually a hybrid. I kind of goofed there with the name. This is a hybrid with the Chinese variety, but chestnuts were once a super populous plant, endemic to the Northeast, to America, but in the early 1900s, we nearly lost the species due to American blight, which was a disease in the bark.
So this particular tree, the reason why we're showing you guys, and remember we want to kind of keep you guys informed on what you guys might be able to use during this season. It is really good for the respiratory system. It's great for cough. It's anti-spasmodic. So if you have those cough where it's hard to stop and it just keeps going, that's a spasmodic cough. And making a tea off of the leaves will help to stop the cough from being, from coming back to back to back to back to back. It's also an expectorant, so it will help you to expel any mucuses that you have in your respiratory system that needs to come out that you're struggling with. So it's really, really, really good for that. So all you need is just a few leaves. And even right now, when you look at the leaves, you might say, they don't look so good, but in nature, looks is not what gives you what you need. Sometimes leaves or plants that either start to brown or going through things, the tree actually gives a little bit more medicine, more properties, because it needs to they need to have repair. So this one might be stronger than one that's just like perfect, right? Because it has a little bit more things to boost it in. So you can still use it. Just get yourself a handful and make a tea with it, or just dry it up, set it to the side for when you need it. Trust me, you will like this. You really will like this. And it doesn't have a bad taste. It's not something that is bitter, that is going to make you choke, you know, or spit out, so you're good.
That was a good cough. You caught me. So we're going to take this little path down, and we're going to check out this purple flower that's growing to my right and left.
Right here we have echinacea. So echinacea, it's a really good immune system booster. It is really good at helping during the onset of a cold or of a flu, right? It's more of a preventative, so it's good to take it prior to, or when you actually feel a cold or the flu or a cough coming on, to use your echinacea for it. It's one of the cone flowers, so you can harvest the petals, right? You can also harvest the leaves. So this is the season right now, because we're still in the summer, for the get you some petals, get you some leaves.
Yeah, and in the winter or fall when the flowers aren't here, Journey, we could harvest maybe a root and make a tea or a tincture from the root. Is that right?
Yes, so in the fall, the strongest part of the plant is the roots. So in the fall, that is when the plant is going to give the roots all of the energy that it exerted throughout the year, spring and summer. In the fall, the roots get the energy back, and if you harvest the roots in the fall, we get to have all that energy too.
But knowing that if we harvest the roots, we won't have the plant in the spring. So this is a great time to harvest. I would say harvest now rather than fall, so that we have these flowers continuing to grow throughout the season.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then we also have Black-Eyed Susan. Black-Eyed Susan is the same as echinacea in terms of the properties, you know, helping boost the immune system, something to take at the onset or prior to a cold. It's really good.
Yes. So you can find tons of them here at the Foodway in the center. So the Foodway is broken up into 3 sections. The very beginning is really a medicinal or fragrant garden, and in the middle is all about pollinators. So you're going to find a lot of plants that offer pollination or food, and also host plants for pollinators. And then the very end is the berry walk, which is exciting, and we'll see in a bit.
Yep.
So this is the pollinator section.
So we showed you guys yarrow earlier. So we're seeing some more yarrow right here. But what I want to show you guys is this right here. This beautiful plant right here. It's called lamb's ears, because it's soft as a lamb.
It really, really is.
Yes. So lamb's ears, it's a really awesome plant. It is really good. It's an antiseptic, just like yarrow. It's also known as nature's Band-Aid. So if I was to have a cut or anything like that, I'll grab one of these and kind of put it on my cut. It will absorb the blood or anything coming out, and at the same time it also have antiseptic properties, so it will kill any bacteria so that I don't get any type of infection, and it helps your wound heal faster.
Wow, there's a lot of things that come from this little leaf.
Yes, so this is something that I have at home. I have it dried up, actually in powder form. Some I leave it whole, but for the most part I have it in powder form. When I have it cut, I'll put some lamb's ear on it, and then I put a Band-Aid on it. And usually it helps my any cuts that I have or the kids have heal a lot quicker, and then we get to go.
That's great. That's great.
Oh. Okay, so right now this is a really important plant to have as well. So this is Blue Hill Sage. Blue because, as you guys can see, the beautiful flowers. So sage is really good to help with the respiratory system as well, especially during a cold. Making a tea or tincture off of sage, it is really good. It helps a lot.
And it's also antimicrobial.
Absolutely.
So these are all really amazing plants that, you know, learned how to protect themselves through evolution. And here we are, like, learning that same knowledge from these plants of how to protect ourselves. So you can find more yarrow right there in the center. There's tons of it spread throughout. And you'll also find more anise hyssop kind of peppered throughout, as it is a great pollinator, along with this butterfly weed that's so gorgeous. And a lot of people will ask what this plant is. This is Nephida, also known as catmint. It is edible, it's related to the mints, but it's not lavender. A lot of folks will confuse this with lavender, and I just want people to know
it's not lavender.
It is not lavender.
I mean, if you look at the leaves, lavender doesn't have these, doesn't look like that. And even if you smell it, it doesn't smell like lavender or anything like that. So,
but it is gorgeous, and it is lavender colored. It has a very relaxing scent. I know my family's cat does love sitting in it. Now, this is not catnip. This is catmint. So they are different things. I get that question a lot.
Yes. But it's still one of the other herbs that you should definitely have on hand to use, and when you're dealing with a cold. And if those of you who like to get different types of things and mix it up together, this is a great addition to it, because it does have a pleasant taste, and it has great benefit for the respiratory system. So definitely get some catmint.
Yeah, it's throughout the park. It's gorgeous. It's just as gorgeous and tastes just as good as it looks. And the pollinators love it. I should, I guess we'll acknowledge this plant maybe on the other side, or let's just maybe here. I'm seeing a couple of these little purple flowers showing up. Let's see if I can zoom in. There's one. Yeah. So this is New England aster.
Yes, New England aster. New England aster is one of our telltale signs, basically of like, hey, summer's over, fall is here, because this is one of our last flower to kind of bloom before fall, kind of takes over. So when you see this, especially for us, when you're looking at it that it's starting to pop up, you're like, okay, summer is just about over. It's time for preparation. So New England aster is a medicinal plant as well. It's good for you to have in your home.
So stay tuned for more beautiful photos of the New England aster from Bronx River Alliance Instagram and our social media accounts. But great one to just highlight as we think about how to prepare for the winter, and just think about plants that help our respiratory system and also help us just be healthier people.
Now right here it is the mint section, but the official mint section.
Yeah.
So right now we are looking at chocolate mint. So any one of you guys who love chocolate, and you guys know in the wintertime that's kind of like where a lot of people kind of get the blues. So get you some chocolate mint to kind of liven up your mood. Like I've said before, mints are really good for the respiratory system. They're gonna help you breathe better. You can use it as a steam to decongest. You can also use it if you have tummy problem, especially with kids, something that they'll take without a fight. Mint is what you want to have. And it's really good also at cooling. So in case of a fever, you need to cool off, you have your choice of yarrow, you have your choice of mint. Right here we have apple mint, which is my favorite. Apple mint right here is actually going into flower. It smells exquisite.
And for me, what really helps me differentiate is the fuzzy leaves. So these little leaves, the texture's a little different. So you've got apple mint, and then you've also got the chocolate mint side by side there. You can kind of see the difference in the shape and also the texture.
Yep.
And the smell
really
and the flavor.
smells like chocolate. It really does. It's like, oh shoot, chocolate. Now, I don't know if you guys ever had like hot chocolate mint. You know, the hot chocolate. They usually put like what is that cane? That winter sugar cane, that's what it is?
Oh, wintergreen?
No, the sugary thing for Christmas that they hang on the tree.
Candy cane.
Candy cane. Some people put candy cane in their hot chocolate to make it minty, but you don't need to do all that extra. You can just add chocolate mint to it.
There you go. I never thought of that. That's a really great little tip.
Yep. Now right here, in the midst of the mint, we have what all of us have at the house. At least we've come across it. Right here. Thyme.
Yeah.
Right here.
Creeping thyme.
All of these is creeping thyme. This is a little thing. And I want to let you guys know that thyme is not just for culinary, but it's also a great medicine, especially for the cold. If you have a dry cough, this is really good. A wet cough, should I say. This is really good for that. I know, like, when I have a bad cough and I make some thyme tea, when I drink it, I feel the relief immediately. Immediately. So thyme is really good. And thyme is also good at boosting your mental capacity. It kind of lifts up your mood as well. So the smell of it alone really does have a really good effect on you. Yeah, I love the smell.
Yeah. As you touch it, I'm like smelling it right now.
So not mint, thyme, like out of all the plants that we talked about so far, my top 2 right now will be the chestnut leaf and the thyme. Like if I had to pick 2 just off of I'll have to make it 2 because number 1 we lay bone set, because in case that one, it gotta be in there. But those 3 lay bone set, chestnut leaf and thyme, if that is just like a really nice combo.
It's a little winter remedy.
Yeah.
That's great. Let's hop up here where we're seeing some of the last berries that are being produced here at the Foodway as the season is coming to a close. Not really. It's keeping going. Chokeberries.
Chokeberries. Look at these.
So beautiful.
Oh my God.
Perfect for harvesting right now.
Yes, they are ready. They are ready to be harvested. They are ready to be picked on for you guys to eat. It is high antioxidant, so it's definitely going to boost your immune system. So this is the time to get it while they are still around. So later on we'll look at some elderberries, but for those of you who make elderberry syrup, adding chokeberries to the mix of making your elderberry syrup is really good, because the antioxidant and properties of the chokeberry with the elderberry, when you put them together, becomes a really strong, powerful combination. So I like those 2 together very much. So definitely get you some. It's not a sweet berry, so don't come thinking you're gonna gulp this up like some grapes. No, it's not sweet, but it's good. It also tastes better cooked, just like elderberries. Unlike elderberries, you can pick and eat it raw if you like that type of taste, because it's very astringent.
Yeah, these remind me of pomegranate with the texture. Very dry, just like a pomegranate, and high in tannins, which is exactly that. So, might as well talk about the beautiful sweet potatoes.
Sweet potatoes. So this right here is sweet potato leaves. And sweet potato leaves are edible. So it's not all about the sweet potatoes, the tubers that are forming underneath, but it's all about what's on top. And you can use the leaves to cook with, and it doesn't taste bad. It's not bitter. You cook it like you cook any greens. This is a good time when you want to mix your greens. Get into the habit of eating different types of green, because every plant have different types of properties, and you're not going to get everything that your body needs off of 1 or 2. So you need to kind of switch them. That's why we have different seasons. Every season comes with a different set of greens, a different set of fruit. So we got to learn how to mix things up. So definitely do that.
I love it.
I want to highlight one wild plant right here.
Please.
This, we see it everywhere, is the red clover. Although it looks purple, but we're going to go with red. So this is the red clover. Red clover is a really great ally to have this winter. Why? Because it is really good for the cough. It really, really, really helps get rid of mucus. It also helps to slow down the amount of time you're having the cough, so it is antispasmodic. The flower makes it it's tasty. It actually has a nice sweet nectar at the tip, at the bottom. Right here, it has a really nice sweet nectar, so it makes a nice syrup. If you wanted to make like a cough syrup just using red clover, you actually can do that. And it is excellent for the women's reproductive system. So if you have any menstrual cycle issue, cramps, things like that, adding this will definitely be beneficial.
And just to acknowledge, that clover is surrounded by chives. So these are all chives down here. And I'm gonna do a little spin and show you that there are some chives on the other side over here. So as you come down the path where we were standing by the chestnuts, you'll enter the circle and you'll find these chives that are here. And throughout the foodway, you'll notice that there's these little signs that will help you kind of get around if you didn't find the field guide in the very beginning. So more chokeberries to my right. And this really begins the berry walk. So
absolutely. So we have some June berry, service berry. What's the other one? Saskatoon. Many different names. The berries, that's what for some is called June berries, comes into June. So we are way past the time because we had some in June. It's delicious. This is one of my favorites.
It is. It's mine too. This is like the first year that I went totally in on it, and I was just like handfuls to my face. And below, you'll notice a couple of the blueberry bushes.
We have blueberry bushes. And we have new ones coming up strong.
And you'll notice there's like a little dry riverbed that runs throughout the foodway, helping to irrigate, but also to be a conduit for overflow during heavy storm events.
So here we have a nice little...
Oh yeah, the raspberries.
The raspberries are coming. So in the fall, we are gonna have some raspberries.
Maybe even before then.
Yeah, they're gonna be ready before that, but the tents are gonna last into the beginning of the fall. Look at this.
This is our second crop of raspberries for the season, and I haven't done any pruning. So for those that are growing raspberries in their gardens and their yards, it's a bumper crop, like a plant that just keeps giving. I find it very generous, and I've learned that the leaves are also really great for teas. Helps with the female reproduction system, but also for fertility. So
definitely get you some red raspberry tea leaves, right? Red raspberry leaves. If you ever went to the health food store when you was pregnant or when you was having menstrual cramps, and they say, "Hey, go get some red raspberry leaf." Here comes some red raspberry leaves.
There they are.
Abundance.
And you may be thinking, "Oh wait, there's some raspberries over here." On the left side of the path as you're headed south.
Oh, yes.
These are actually white raspberries, or yellow raspberries as they're commercially sold as. So they have a bit of like, there we go. Ooh, there's one. That's a ripe one. See how it's got like almost like an ivory or yellowish hue to it?
Yeah. Now with berries, right, if it's ready, once you pull on it, it's just gonna come off. I'm pulling and it's not coming off because it's not ready, it's not ripe yet. It gets a little darker than this.
So we're gonna have to be patient.
Yep.
These, just like the red, we're waiting for our second harvest. So you can find other blueberry bushes in here. They're often surrounded by raspberries. So like this one is smack dab in the middle of all these raspberries. There's a blueberry bush. Over here there's another one. Blueberries have passed. The season's over for us. So the trees that are here are part of the orchard. We've got some peach trees in the center. And as I'm walking around, I do want to acknowledge the dandelions that are growing here.
Yes, so dandelions are an amazing plant to have, whether you want to just use it culinary and use the greens and cook with it, or you want to use it medicinally to detox, clean out your liver. Is really good at supporting the liver. This is why a lot of people like to use it for detox. It's also good for the blood. So right now you can harvest the leaves. I did that yesterday. I took a bunch of leaves home because I'm getting ready to just do a nice gentle cleanse before fall start. So I needed something bitter. So the leaves are bitter, which is really good for the digestive system. Anything that is bitter really helps the digestive system so that when we eat, we can absorb all of the nutrients from the food that we are actually digesting. So it really helps with that. In the fall, we're gonna get to the roots. Right now, we can get the top with no problem, and then in the fall is the best time to use the roots. We have an abundance of dandelions. So
Check
even
them all
when I
out.
took yesterday, didn't do anything.
Didn't make
so
it done.
make sure you get yourself some dandelion. It's very, very healthy and very good to have in your home.
Yeah. And you'll find even more raspberries as you walk along the path. Beside the final trees of kind of this orchard, these are apple trees, which have been gleaned already.
Yeah.
And you'll see a community member has planted a pumpkin, some type of squash over here. But we're gonna walk over to the elderberries that are back here and check them out.
Right here.
Oh yeah, look at that. Some fruit hasn't been. Wow, so beautiful.
See, here we got some elderberries. Yeah, the birds.
The birds have definitely gotten
Yes.
some of these. But the berries are very familiar for folks.
Elderberries it's one of the plants that you want to have for. Oh, what?
The squash.
Yeah. Wow.
It's made it far.
Oh wow. Oh, okay.
Yeah, don't judge a pumpkin by its seed.
No. So you want the elderberries because it's antiviral, antimicrobial, high antioxidant. Not only does it boost the immune system, it also kills and destroys the viruses and bacteria. So it's really great to have.
And the berries, they can make your stomach hurt if you eat them raw.
Yes, so
So you have to
elderberries,
cook
you
them.
do not want to take this in raw. So you do have to cook them. If you're going to use it as a tea, you have to dry it up first. But you have to cook them or dry them up before you can use it.
That's excellent.
Definitely don't do anything raw with it.
Don't do anything raw. Now the flowers during May, June when they appear, you can eat those.
Yes, the flowers are good to have.
Well, thank you all for joining us on this tour of the Foodway.
Absolutely.
If you'd like to find out more about Bronx River, you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Bronx_River. And you can also find a lot more videos on the Foodway of cooking and eating and just learning about the plants here on our YouTube channel, which is just Bronx River Alliance. Journey, would you like to say how folks can find you?
Yes, absolutely. So you can find me at Journey on Instagram or on Facebook, Nature Classroom. You can find me there, and I'll have all information about if you want to learn how to identify plants, botany, get into how to make medicinal remedies with your plants. So definitely check me out at Instagram Journey and then Facebook Nature Classroom. There's some upcoming classes coming this fall, right? Some foraging classes, some medicinal making classes, and who knows, maybe a wine class. Do it yourself at home. So check us out. I hope you guys learn and enjoy the tour that we just finished giving you guys. There's going to be so much more here, especially heading to the fall. So make sure you find your way down here and take advantage of this beautiful space.
Also, I want to just note that we have a Friends of group for the park itself. You can follow Friends of Concrete Plant Park or Concrete Friends at Concrete Friends on Instagram to stay up to date with what they're up to, and definitely see more of Journey there. She's a member herself.
Absolutely.
So stay tuned, follow Bronx River Lions, Journey, Concrete Friends, and stay tuned for more from the Foodway. Be well.